Okay, so welcome everyone to the Strimzi Community Call on April 17th, 2025. So the first point on the agenda is can maintainers create good starting issues for people wanting to contribute? I guess that Mikael, it was something that you had to the agenda, right?
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, looking at the good first issue, there's only a handful or even a single one currently available. And I'm wondering whether the maintainer should try to create a bunch of them. So if you have somebody coming along wanting to contribute, they can pick something up quickly. And I wonder if it's something like, yeah, you should always ensure that there's a few of them, because currently you don't really have much choice if you're willing to contribute.
I'm plus wanting to that. I had also noticed that we only have one. When Paul updated the join us page, we now have a button that puts you straight to that link. And I think we should be, making sure that we have a few in there. I know in the past I've mentioned that potentially it would be useful if maintainers have time to work on proposals, but potentially then leaving the implementation, that could be an option, or just if you're noticing small things that need fixing, maybe thinking, should I just open an issue rather than going ahead and fixing, just to create a little bit of backlog.
Yeah, that's my experience as well in Apache Kafka, is that there's typically two types of issues I create. So first, some very small things like there's we're missing coverage on this class, or there's some Java warnings in this package or whatever. So those are really very trivial, and you can just create an issue, and it's something somebody with Kafka knowledge can contribute. And otherwise, then you need to break down some of the bigger issue that somebody cannot pick up by themselves. But then you need the maintainer that take time to break it into achievable tasks, whatever that means. So it's also these are the two sort of items usually. I create in upstream Kafka, and my experience that this works pretty well if you're able to create stuff. People are able to pick them up and do them. It's good to have a mix of both, and I guess it's really a habit you have to take as a maintainer. Every time you spot something, just consider whether it's good to create a small ticket that somebody can pick up and get started.
Yeah, so Escape, I'm +1 with that. So maybe we should try to start doing this way. If we find something which is really trivial or simple, instead of fixing, or for example, just don't care because it's a really tiny thing, we should start opening issues and tagging them as a good start. Any objections from the other maintainers?
No, I've just got one question though. How long would we expect them to sit there?
As long as it's not done. No?
Yeah, I think we can, if there are things where it's nice to have, it's not having a big impact, I think we can leave them there indefinitely. I feel like if we find that we consistently got a high number, so if, I feel like as long as we've got, I don't know, 4 or 5, like maybe even, then if we're getting more than that, we could then start picking them off and fixing them ourselves if we're not getting new people. But it just feels to me, especially now we've got that lovely little button on the join us page, if you click that and there's only one issue there, I don't know, that kind of, I don't know, feels a bit sad to me. That it feels like as a new contributor, I'd want the excitement of like picking my issue rather than being presented with only one option. So I feel like, yeah,
it's a good idea. I can look to have 1 or 2 doc issues already, always sitting there. Just make sure they don't grow too much if they're not being picked up.
Yeah, definitely. If we find that they're just sitting there for ages, then we can certainly address them. But yeah, if we started to get into the habit of opening them more often, we'll probably find that they start stacking up, and then we can start addressing them ourselves. But then, yeah, it just leaves like a nice set for people to look at as a first place to go, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Last thing I wanted to mention that, this may create some noise because obviously you may create tasks for very small things. Well, you would just have open a PR and merge it automatically as a maintainer. But I think it's this noise probably worth having the opportunity of somebody coming to the project, basically. So I acknowledge that this has a small cost, not for free, but I let you gauge whether it's worth it, but I think so.
I agree, it's worth it. I feel like it just makes it feel like a more welcoming first step for someone who might want to contribute.
yeah, totally.
Certainly, you would typically want to do a couple of these before opening a proposal, for example, so you get used to the process, you can get a bit through, and it's a way to get introduced just before opening major changes. Well, thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Miguel. I do really hope that at this point we will take an action because it has been this way for a long time, right? So, okay, if there is nothing more on this, the next one is about events. The first thing is that, 2 weeks ago it was KubeCon London. It was me and Tina, one of our contributors, to be there. I have linked here the 3 sessions that we had. There are already 2 recordings for the first 2. The third one was on the Data on Kubernetes collocated event. So the first day or the day before the beginning of the KubeCon London. The recording is not available yet, but it should be soon available. I guess that they are building the playlist for all the collocated event. Some collocated events playlists are already there, not yet the Data on Kubernetes. So yeah, but you can already catch up with the first 2 session. The first one was about the current main features we have in the current Strimzi version and the future. So what's coming in the next months. And the other one was a lightning talk from Tina, short version of the first one, with what's new and what's next in Strimzi. And the last one was mostly with me on the Chris control integration within Strimzi. So looking forward to the recording for this. The main thing is about StrimziCon 2025. I don't know, Kate, do you want to say something on it?
Yeah, sure. So we had a good number of submissions. So first of all, thank you to everyone who took the time to submit. Definitely as the program committee, we had a hard time deciding which sessions we should have in the schedule, but we have decided and the schedule has been announced. So check out the blog that we posted for the schedule and do make sure you register. So it's a free virtual event on the 4th of June, which you can come and join. And you can see we've got a bunch of different sessions and speakers. So yeah, thanks again to everyone who submitted, and whether you're a speaker or whether you're going to come and just attend, please don't forget to register. It's completely free. And Paolo, you're muted if you are talking.
Yeah, sorry, Kate. Thank you. Thank you, Kate. I said. Anyway, let's move on with the usual kind of agenda. The first thing is about PRs and issues. Let's go to the first one. This is from Maros. Do we have Maros on the call?
No.
Okay, so I don't know why Maros put this here, but as far as I remember, this is the issue related to the signing of the images failing most of the times during the build. Sometimes it means that I don't know, kind of QA is having a bad day. This first well, this is a pull request, of course. This first pull request from Maros was about adding a kind of retry mechanism here in order to retry sometimes when the signing fails. But we also were discussing, and then Maros opened another PR, which was about just trying in a simpler way, and this PR was merged by adding it, so increasing the timeout for running this operation in order to cover the situation where the problem maybe was a timeout because it was not that clear from the log. So the decision was to merge this one, which is you can see a really simple change. So we are going to monitor if it's going to work and fix the issue. Otherwise, maybe we'll come back again to revisiting this PR about the retry and see if this kind of fix works better. So I don't know, maybe that was the rationale behind so for Maros to put this PR here.
I guess it was because there is another issue which was discovered, not because of the timeout, but because of, I think, SBOM or something. So from time to time it fails on a little bit different step in the build or in the push job. And I guess Maros added it here to, I don't know, have a discussion if we should anyway try to retry it for a few times or not.
And
But
is this
that's-
issue, I don't know, tracked somewhere?
I think not. So yeah, we can create an issue, maybe close this PR, and once it makes sense, we can reopen it or I don't know, fix it in a different way.
Well, I will not close this just because Maros is not here. Of course, tracking the issue that you were talking about, and I didn't know, and linking to this PR, saying that maybe this PR can still help with that issue will be great.
Yeah, I think that it's on a different, let's say, step of the push script or whatever it's. So I don't know if it actually help.
Okay. So yeah, I don't know, you or Maros, maybe we should open and track the issue that you
Yeah.
faced. And then we can discuss again. So we don't need to wait for the next community goal. We can even discuss async on the issue.
Yeah, sure.
Then, yeah, I posted here the two PRs that now we have for the stretch cluster. Just try to understand what we will do with them. I mean, there was a kind of discussion about should we, you know, the stretch cluster proposal is still under discussion. There are several reviews going on, feedback are addressed. So thank you very much for all the people working on this. I guess we have someone on the call about stretch cluster or not today.
I can represent Ashwin. He
Oh,
wasn't
yes,
well,
yeah,
so
yeah. So yeah, we were kind of talking about these two PRs. If we should start, maybe not this way, having PRs against the main just as a draft, just for having early feedback. Maybe creating a branch out of the main, or maybe, I don't know, asking the maintainers to help on a totally separate fork, just for having early feedback with really, you know, not so big PR. So yeah, that just open for discussion here because these two PRs were open for, well, not long time, but there was some discussion about what to do with them.
Yeah, I think we were looking at this as well, and we didn't quite understand exactly what might be the best way, because there's a balance between the two approaches. One way, you can have a common branch which has all the changes, and individual PRs can be smaller and hopefully will be easier for reviews and getting them in. But we also understand we don't want to start merging things into the main, rightly so, especially when the proposal is not even completely approved. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what other maintainers feel about it, but we're happy to go either ways with respect to providing the changes, essentially.
So from my perspective, and I then will leave the other maintainers to give their opinions. So I know that the proposal is not approved yet, but I think that if you already have a POC in place, and you have, right, so it will be useful for you having early feedback. Of course, the PRs has to be not that big, but anyway consistent. Maybe, for example, I remember one was just about adding the feature gate. Maybe, you know, it's not a PR that makes sense by itself. So having the feature gate together with something else. I don't mind to have a branch in our repo, in the Strimzi repo, or just helping with reviewing PRs on your fork, for example. For me, both the options are fine. But yeah, for me, it's okay starting to review something, even if the proposal is not there, because it helps me even to review the proposal itself and understanding if, you know, code-wise we are covering what's in the proposal and the other way around. Yeah, what about the others?
So from my point of view, I slightly disagree in terms, for me personally, I haven't really looked at these PRs, partially because I've been focusing on the proposal. So I think having one proposal and then multiple other PRs to review, I'm kind of prioritizing reviewing the proposal and then the other PRs that I know are ready to be merged. So from that point of view, I think prioritizing addressing the comments on the main proposal is a good idea, because I personally, that's the way I'm going to prioritize reviewing. I agree with Paolo though, in terms of, I think once we're at the point where the proposal's kind of there, which I think it is pretty much there now. So I think we're in a better position than we were the previous community call. I don't mind whether we review things on a branch in the Strimzi repo, or if it's in a fork. I'm happy with either. I think definitely when you're opening the PRs, if they're against a branch in a fork, then obviously like put them in the Strimzi dev channel or something to kind of say like, this is where it is if anybody has time to review. But I think in terms of the PRs you've currently opened, I think I put this comment somewhere, but I feel like they're a bit small. You've gone too granular in scope. So I think you can probably open bigger ones than what you've gone for. And I think focusing on the parts that are perhaps the most controversial or the hardest to understand. So for example, the feature gate, hopefully it's quite a well-defined process for adding a feature gate. And I think looking at the PR, you know, you've done what I would expect for a feature gate, but I feel like that part of it isn't the part that I would like to see in really smaller. It's the kind of the parts that are going to be the heavy lifting pieces of the implementation, whereas the feature gate's like a well-known mechanism. So that's my thoughts.
So if you go with a feature branch or a separate branch than main, would like in general, I think the preference would be to have a branch in Strimzi, if that's possible, rather than having in an individual's fork, because it just seems a bit more, what do I say? I don't know the right term for it, but I think I would personally prefer that we
Yeah.
contributing this to the Strimzi project, then we create a branch in the project. Obviously, only maintainers would probably have access to doing so. And I don't know whether that's something you guys could help us with, or is that something, because we wouldn't be able to push a new branch without having those kind of access.
Yeah, so you'll need a maintainer to create the branch. As far as my recollection is of the discussions we've had so far, the impression I get is that quite a few of the maintainers would prefer us to hold off creating a branch in Strimzi until the proposal's merged. Although I know that Paolo has said that he's happy. So yeah, I guess if Paolo wants to create you a branch, then we can do that. But whether you want to go with majority, I can't remember who else had opinions. So I don't know if any of the other maintainers on the call want to chime in. But my
I remember
feeling-
that I was not alone. It was an idea from Jakub Stejskal, right, to create.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, maybe we are just
Maybe.
the two of us. So if we want to go with the majority, I guess that we should go with the fork solution. I don't mind. For me, it's just a way to get notified. So it's important that if we are going to work on a fork, then I don't know. Yeah, as Kate said, you just ping us on the Strimzi dev channel because we don't get notification, of course, from your fork.
Yeah, I guess the separate branch was also my idea when we originally discussed it. And I also get the point from Jakub Scholz about not creating the branch in the Strimzi repository. Just because, we will create some PRs and we will approve it, we will merge it into the branch, and then the proposal will be slightly changed. And then you will create another PRs that will, reflect those changes in the proposal. So we will do another extra work. So yeah, I would maybe pick up the solution with the fork instead of having the branch in Strimzi until the proposal is really approved by everyone. And yeah, the right direction with everything. Also, if you have, I think that you have also some POC, right, with everything. We can maybe, like, for example, from Tina's proposal about the Kafka roller, I guess it's also beneficial to see everything on one place and how everything composes, right? And that you can maybe try it on your own.
Yeah, I think the distinction between the POC and the PRs we're trying to create is that when you're trying to do a POC, sometimes you don't worry about like adding unit tests for each piece or making sure everything's kind of done to the right standard. And given this is a significant contribution, and some of the people might not have done as much Strimzi work, the intent was that we can actually create smaller PRs, but do them to the standard that the community expects. So we don't cut any corners to get things moving. Whereas with the POC, sometimes and I know that we didn't write as many unit tests for the POC, for example. So I didn't want to take the POC branch and assume that's kind of the final thing. It's probably easier to say, okay, the POC was there to prove a point and to prove that this could be done in a certain way. And I know the proposal has since then evolved or has been refined thanks to all the valuable feedback we've got from maintainers. And the hope was that we start creating freshly with the new latest Strimzi in the main and keep a branch that's up to date and in sync with what's happening in Strimzi with other changes, but also keep adding other stuff. And that will eventually come to the same level as the POC, hopefully not very in a long time. So
Yeah, well, for the unit tests and other tests, I guess it's fine. But anyway, if you will merge these things into the separate branch, and you will again change the proposal, you will anyway have to rewrite the tests because of slight changes. So it would be anyway extra work, at least from my point of view, for you and also for maintainers to actually review those PRs.
okay, so are we agreeing that we keep this as a separate branch until do this in a separate fork until we have the proposal approved? And once when we have the proposal approved, we move that, like we could potentially create a branch, still a separate branch, but in Strimzi community itself or in the project, or did I misunderstand the answer? Sorry.
I'd be on board with us doing that. And then you can see how big the change will be, and determine how you think it will be broken down. And if you want to chat more about ways to break it down that could make sense, then feel free to sort of ping me on the Slack. We can discuss, because I've had to do that for some of our previous issues around like craft integration and cert manager and stuff. So hopefully I can give some guidance.
Just one question on this, because at this point I'm lost. So if right now we start with the fork, so we have the fork, a branch in the fork, and we are going to review these PRs in order to be merged within the branch of the fork. Let's say we have 5-6 PRs, okay? And they are reviewed and they are merged. Then at some point we approve the proposal and we decide why now we should create a branch in Strimzi, and then what are going to be the PRs open against this branch, this feature branch. So again, the same PRs that we are already approved in the fork, something else, a big PR with everything in. So I don't know why after merging the PRs in the fork, then we have to have a branch in Strimzi when the proposal is approved. Sorry, I'm lost.
Sorry, I thought that in the fork there will be already the POC without the tests and other stuff, so we can review the whole process, let's say, and how it will be implemented in some way. So maybe it will be clearer for the proposal side. And once the proposal is approved and merged, then the branch will be created, and the implementation of the smaller pieces can be done into that branch with all the unit tests and other stuff, with full reviews. At least that was my, let's say, thought.
Yeah, but how I'm going to review the POC? I mean, so I can
We'll
use
have separate branch with separate commits, right?
Yes, but it means, okay, I can use the POC in order to, that I can check out locally, and I can run the stuff if I want to try. But the way to review code, the better way is a PR, right? Because I can add comments. So how are we going to have PRs for the POC?
So I guess my opinion is that at the point where the proposal's been merged, then the contributors who are working on this feature can then decide whether they maintain it there or whether they want to create multiple PRs for people to review, or one big PR back into the branch if we want to create a branch in Strimzi. But the part that we don't really know how the proposal is going to change based on the comments, to me, this is where I feel like I personally don't want to put a lot of time into reviewing changes until we're happy with the proposal. And I have put the proposal on the list of proposals, and I would be interested to know from the other maintainers, but my last reading of the proposal, there were like 2 areas that I was like, maybe we should clarify these, but they weren't actually to do with the sort of main implementation. It was just clarifying some of the other components, how they would interact. So I feel like we're really close, is my personal opinion, but I don't know how the other maintainers are feeling about the proposal. So yeah, to me, if you're happy to just continue having your separate fork, then we're all good. You can continue just making small PRs there, and then we'll have the one big PR at the end. Or we can just wait, and then once the proposal's approved, we can create the one in Strimzi, or we can have lots of PRs for the branch elsewhere and then putting them back. But it just creates more churn, which is why I've sort of said here that I won't be prioritizing the ones until the proposal is merged, because I could be reviewing things more than once otherwise.
So yeah, I agree in sense that, okay, then we are not going to review PRs until the proposal is merged, right? So we are not working on reviewing PRs, but we will start only when the proposal is okay. So is that your idea, Kate? If I got you right?
That's my suggestion. I guess I'm saying that's what I'm personally going to do because I feel like that's the best use of my time. But if other maintainers want to review the other PRs, then obviously they can. But personally, I feel like the time that I have available to review things, I can imagine that those PRs are going to keep being at the bottom of my list, and therefore I won't get to them, is the likely scenario.
So I'm fine with that. Of course, we will need the other maintainers to keep up with the PR, with the proposal, in order to not have this proposal staying there for months, right? And then postponing in a far future the PRs coming. So yes, we can do this way. If Neraja so is okay as well. We continue to keep reviewing the proposal. We will push other maintainers to do so. And then at that point, yeah, we can work even with PRs on a branch in Strimzi instead of a fork. I'm not sure how big will be one PR. So I guess I will leverage on your judgment if one big PR will be better than, but I remember that when I worked on the craft migration, I worked on a branch in Strimzi and there was less PR, maybe 2 or 3 PRs in order to have the feature in.
What's your view, Paolo, in terms of where the proposal is today? Do you feel like we're close? Do you feel like there's quite a lot of change still needed?
No, I am keeping left some comments, but yeah, I feel that we are not that far, at least from my idea of how things work. My plan was to try the POC, which I didn't have the time yet, even because we are really close to Strimzi 046 coming next week. So I was prioritizing that work, but my plan before approving the proposal, I would say, I will try at least one time the POC. Just to be sure on my side that we are not missing some technical things that should be in the proposal, that maybe are in the POC, and they are not totally in sync. But yeah, I agree with you. So it's not that far from my view of how the things should work.
Okay, yeah, I think that's good to know. Thank you. And Kate, I think the last 2 things that you'd mentioned were like the rollout plan in terms of feature gates and things like that, as to how it would be kind of maturing. But I think I did ask Ashwin to put a note. It should follow the standard Strimzi maturity process, to say you start with an alpha when it's turned off and can be turned on, and then you go into the beta and so on. So I think that hopefully has been clarified. The second one was the one that I wanted to touch a little bit on, if we can spend a few minutes here. And that was about the proposal is largely focusing on stretching a Kafka deployment. I know Strimzi has a number of other components like the connect and the mirror makers and the bridge and things like that. In my view, we should not try and jam everything into this proposal because it's already big enough and we don't want to add more and more things to it. But I don't know how well the community would want those to be represented. My view is to put some way of scoping it to say this proposal is for saying how you stretch your Kafka with the Strimzi operator. When we want to add other things, which also could follow a very similar pattern, to be honest. So I'm not saying that they can't be done, but they probably need their own place and thought through approach, if you like. So my view was to put something that says this proposal excludes stretching Kafka Connect or Bridge or whatever else we want to include. But I don't know whether the maintainers feel that's good enough? Do they feel, no, absolutely not. Everything is Strimzi and we need to have all of those things in there in the same proposal?
Yeah, so the comment that I added, I 100% wasn't expecting you to add how to stretch connect, how to stretch, etc. The piece that I was wondering if it would be useful to clarify is whether or not the operators that are running on the remote clusters will ignore the Kafka Connect. So you've explicitly called out that you have the environment variable to say they're not going to reconcile like Kafka resources. Maybe we just add an extra note to say like this is also true for any of the other resource types like Connect, Mirror Maker, etc. And then similarly on the main cluster, a statement that either says, you know, it will reconcile Connect, but it will only create those resources on the central cluster, or, you know, it won't support running Connect. And if you want to run Connect, you have to run a separate operator that's running non-stretched or something. I don't know which one's preferable, but just a sentence that kind of says like this is what we're intending to do, so that then when we're implementing and when we're documenting it, it's clear to users what happens if they create those kinds of resources. Yeah, I wasn't I think it's the right choice to not try and expand the scope to include things like Connect, but just as a user, if I create that resource, what should I expect to happen? Nothing, or it all goes to the central cluster. Yeah.
Sure, we'll get that updated to make that clearer. Thank you.
Cool. And yeah, I saw that there was an update for the other piece, but I just haven't had a chance to look back at it yet, but it is on my list.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think and hope that this summary makes kind of sense. So we were focusing on reviewing the proposal, which from my point of view and Kate's point of view seems to be close to be approved, but of course we have other maintainers, so we need the review from the others. I will push the other maintainers to have a look at the proposal, please. I plan to run the POC, and yeah, when the proposal is approved, we are going to get PRs to the Strimzi repo. So yeah, I'm going to close these two PRs. I'm going to comment on them right after the call and close them.
Sounds good. Yeah, we'll have the equivalent in a separate branch until the proposal gets approved, so we don't we start accumulating a bunch of changes that kind of need to fit together. But we can close the PRs here in the community for now. So we focus on and prioritize the proposal ahead of the code review, which absolutely makes sense.
Cool. Thank you. And thank you very much for the effort.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really big feature. So if there is anything more on this, we can move on the proposals.
I'm going to remove the stretch cluster proposal from the list of proposals because we've already discussed it.
Okay. So the first one on the list is about Kafka Roller. I guess it's on you, Tina.
Yeah, thanks, Paolo. Yeah, so I made some updates to this proposal recently. My aim was to make this proposal slightly shorter and more focused on the design rather than a bunch of implementation details I had previously, and so it's easier to hopefully review for maintainers. But aside from that, yeah, the reason for bringing this up in this call is I would like to draw some conclusion for this proposal. Obviously, it's been open for some time now, and I think it's time to, yeah, like have some decision what we want to do with this proposal in the future. So before I spend more time and effort into this, because there have been quite mixed opinions on whether we should do this or not. Yeah.
So I already added a comment to this. So my stance is the same as previously. I think this is a beneficial feature, both from the point of view of people who have large clusters and want to be able to do rolling updates more quickly. And also, having worked with Tina on the changes we had to make in the Kafka roller for Craft, it was very hard for us to make the changes. It took a lot longer than it should have done, given the changes that we were making. And I think it's, yeah, if we're going to make any future improvements to Kafka roller, and I feel like Kafka roller is a key feature of Strimzi, it's like one of the things that is good to talk about when you're trying to explain why Strimzi is so useful. I just feel like this is an area that could do with some help, and I'm happy to prioritize reviewing this, even though I don't have the time to actually work on the implementation. But yeah, interested to hear what other maintainers think, if you disagree, and also if there are users who actually would find this useful, because potentially maybe there aren't. And I'm developing and not using it.
So from my perspective, I have to jump again on the proposal because, as Tina said, she made some changes. The concerns are still the same as before. Of course, yeah, back in the day, we were just me and Jakub as core maintainers, and we kind of didn't have the time. But it seems that right now with Kate, thanks Kate, we have someone who is willing to move forward with this. Of course, yeah, I guess that Tina will work on the implementation, and kind of Kate will be the maintainer, yeah, helping Tina to move forward. I guess that Tina, the proposal is anyway updated with all the advantages that we are getting with this, so I will review them. The all important thing is that this is a big change. I mean, we are replacing one of the core components in the operator with something totally new, which is going to work just for Craft. But yeah, right now we have just Craft starting from the next release. So it has to be battle tested. So it's not just about implementation, but even writing tests, system tests, and so on. Because I don't expect, so I would like not have a kind of regressions in terms of replacing the roller with another one which has issues, and then the things that were working before are not working anymore now, even if, you know, it's just about running the Kafka cluster and something is not working. So it has to be battle tested if we want really to include this change here. Of course, I remember that there was someone from the community asking for this about rolling the brokers in batches. Yeah, but no one proposed to work on it. So at this point, I don't know how much this is really useful to the community if no one is pushing and asking again for having this feature. But yeah, what I can do is reviewing the proposal and yeah, leveraging on Kate for helping as maintainer together with Tina for the implementation. So for testing, I don't know if Lukasz, you have any opinion about the testing part.
Yeah, I wanted to leave one comment there as well. So I think that having this, I guess it will be under some feature gate as well. And I guess this is better approach than having some refactoring into the original Kafka roller, let's say, because I know that these changes can look small and then you will end up rewriting the whole thing and adding more and more risks in that area. So yeah, having something completely, let's say, separate as it was for the topic operator, and then you know, have it under the feature gate and testing it with every release and every change, that would be beneficial. So yeah, in case that I will be able to help, I can review the proposal, review the code, and also help you with testing the feature. That's not a problem. So
I
yeah,
guess-
+1 for keeping the proposal from my side.
Cool. And I was going to say, yeah, I guess the ask for the community to anyone who's watching or has joined the community call today, if you think this feature would be useful. So the basic upshot is to me, the biggest advantage of this change would be that rather than rolling each individual broker one by one, we would be batching them together, so determining how many we could roll at once without affecting the availability of the data. So it would mean if you have lots of brokers, you can roll several at once and get through the rolling update much more quickly. And obviously we do rolling updates for various things. So this would apply, for example, if certificates were updated, it would apply for that, or other changes that need a rolling update. So if you think this feature would be beneficial, then go comment on this proposal. And if you're using Strimzi and you would be up for helping us to test it, if you have environments where you have a lot of brokers running and you know would be able to do some testing for us, then yeah, please add comments, because that helps us to understand whether or not it makes sense for Tina to put the time into this.
And I would maybe also mention it in the Slack channel, maybe somewhere else, just to, you know, get also opinions from the community, as you mentioned.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thanks, Lucas. I can do that. But yeah, thanks everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Tina. Let me try to summarize this. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. Now let's move on the next proposal.
So I added these next two. They're both proposals that have been open for a while and seem to have gone kind of stale. So I wondered if we should close them. So the first one here was opened quite a while ago now, and it's around adding some more options for the certificate algorithm management. The last place we left it is the fields that they're suggesting you should be able to set. You can't set if you're using Cert Manager. So in Cert Manager, I think it's the size and the algorithm, like the size is determined based on the algorithm, or there's some combination, I can't remember off the top of my head. So I think in the current way that it's set up, the two fields, the 2 or 3 fields they're trying to add, we wouldn't be able to support that for the Cert Manager case in exactly that way. But the original creator hasn't come back for quite a long time. You can see since January, or even longer. I don't know when they last commented. So I wonder if we just close this proposal and say if they want to pick it up again, then they can reopen it.
Yeah, totally agree. Last comment was on May 2024.
Yeah, so nearly.
Yeah, so Kate, are you going to close the proposal?
Yeah, I can close it and add a comment.
Yeah, thank you. And the next one, still you, Kate, say it, right?
Yeah, so similarly, this one's been open for a while. So this one was around allowing you to watch multiple namespaces for the Kafka topic, Kafka user, and Kafka connector. I mean, for me, the main problem with this proposal is I think those 3 kinds of resources are quite different, and the benefit of having them across different namespaces is different for each one. So I don't think it would make sense to have a single proposal that addresses all 3. And that was the feedback that was given. But again, nobody's sort of come back on it for a while. So I wonder if we just close it and say if they want to continue this, then they should open a proposal for each type of resource, because they're quite different resources and would have different pros and cons of multiple namespaces.
Yeah, and also different operators, right?
Yeah.
So I would close it as well.
Okay. So, Kate, if you can add the comment here as well and close it.
Yeah,
Great.
I'll do that.
Okay. So we are at the end of the proposal. I know if I will make you happy, but because we are just 5 minutes left, I could just give you back 5 minutes, because starting the issue triage after all these discussions, I don't know how much it will be useful, at least for me, at 7 p.m. here in Italy. So if there are no objection or there is any specific issue that you want to triage, I will just close the call here until you have any other business to discuss. It seems not. Seems that people likes to have 5 minutes back of their lives. So, okay. So thank you very much for joining. See you in 2 weeks.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Bye.
Thanks very much.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.